All right, Hoosier fans. I thought you'd win the game. I did. You go back and check the record. Well documented. I did not think 56 points were on the way. Now, some of you out there know I'm an Oregon guy. Never run and hid from that before. And it stung. No question about it. The hat is warranted for this segment. What do you compare Indiana to? So, something that pops into my mind in the professional sports realm is the Detroit Lions, who my entire life have stunk. I mean, they have just been dreadful, woefully awful. And Dan Campbell got hired, and I didn't like the hire at the time. He went to the press conference and said, "We're biting kneecaps off." And I was kind of going, what? Sound like you're trying a little hard. How about you stick to the football? Well, even though they missed the playoffs this year, pretty clear. Dan Campbell knows ball. He knows a thing or two. That transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Because taking a culture like that has been losing for such a long time and in such a dramatic way, all of a sudden they're one game, a 21-point lead or whatever it was from the Super Bowl. I mean, that was incredible. I've watched it with my own professional team, my beloved Seattle Mariners. They were dreadful my entire childhood, never made the playoffs. All of a sudden last year, one game away from the World Series. They come up short. Best season in franchise history. The remarkable turnaround. The players, the coaches, the front office, all deserve the credit. None of these examples or any others you can come up with even come close to the level of insanity that Indiana football, being the best team in the country in Signetti's second year, is. It doesn't compare. Indiana, I've had folks sending me messages, or I've seen discussion, is Indiana the best college football team of all time? Well, that's tough. I'm a 2019 LSU guy. Some folks are going to go to that Miami team from like 99 or 2000 that had an insane number of NFL players on it. But 2019 LSU is, for my money, the best college football team that I have ever seen. I mean, the reigning champs with Trevor Lawrence in year 2 off a national championship as a true freshman. LSU blew them out. LSU put up 100 in a half in a playoff game. I don't care that it was Lincoln Riley's Oklahoma. That was a Big 12 champion Oklahoma Sooners team. They scored 49 and a half. Well, Oregon, not champion of the Big Ten this year, but had one of the best pass defenses in all of college football this year. Fernando Mendoza threw more touchdowns than he had incompletions. I bet most of you didn't know the name Charlie Becker when this season began. Tell me why he isn't going to get taken in the NFL draft. You see that play he made against Oregon's 5-star true freshman future NFL corner in Brandon Finney? Beats him off the line, Finney recovers, and he makes a contested catch with a pinpoint throw. There is nothing, because when you talk about the teams I just mentioned or the great Alabama teams under Nick Saban, there's a history, a pedigree, a legacy, a standard, an expectation of excellence at those places. Indiana was the losingest program in the history of the sport. They'd never hit 10 wins when the 2024 season began. Indiana football, this team right here on my hat, had never had a 10-win season. And all of a sudden, they are running circles around an Oregon team that I can tell you was darn good and very talented. Younger than Indiana, and that showed up because one team made a bunch of mistakes. One team took advantage of those most mistakes and didn't make any of their own. Indiana can beat you in so many different ways. And when the moment is feeling brightest or biggest, when it's all on the line, who do you trust more than Fernando Mendoza, the former 2-star recruit who Justin Wilcox, who's of course since been fired, brought in another quarterback to compete with in 2024? Did you know that? Mendoza was the third stringer to begin the 23 season at Cal. He winds up winning the job, doing well, and Cal's coaching staff, this just goes to show you some are better at evaluation and talent development than others, said we better bring in another guy just to be sure, because we don't know if this guy's getting it done. Well, guess what? He just won the Heisman Trophy and is probably going to win the national championship. There is no comparison for what we're talking about here. Can you imagine the 2027? They're recruiting pretty well right now, so hey, I don't know. Can you imagine the 2027 SEC champion Kentucky Wildcats in football? Not basketball, which I don't think they're close to either. Football. That's a crazy thing to think about. Oh, by the way, they'd be undefeated. They'd knock off Georgia at one point. They'd probably knock off Alabama. If LSU is good, they'll beat them at some point along the way as well. Indiana this year beat Ohio State and Oregon twice. Indiana beating either of those teams used to feel the way Vanderbilt beating Alabama last season, 2024, felt. Oh my gosh, what are we watching? How is this possible? And now all of a sudden, Indiana isn't just beating teams, they are blowing them out. Alabama was an incredibly flawed team. And I said after they beat Oklahoma, look, I picked Oklahoma to win the game. I own that. Neither one of these teams beaten Alabama. And guess what? Here we are. And Alabama losing 38-3 to Indiana. And then they beat Oregon again by more than they beat them the first time. Signetti doesn't care about your stats, trends, history, nothing. All he cares about is coaching ball and making hilarious facial expressions. That's it. That's all he knows how to do. I think another potential football comparison would be, and look at how much he struggled in year one, if Barry Odom took Purdue and just made them the best team in college football next year. Or what if Jake Dickert took Wake Forest and next year they win the ACC and are undefeated, beating Miami, beating Clemson, and then probably winning a high-profile non-conference game against somebody like Georgia in dominant fashion. None of this all sounds crazy, right? Well, nothing's crazy. And other coaches are going to pay a price for this. I can tell you that as well. I think we've seen it already to some degree. I don't think it's going away. Folks are going to look at Signetti and what he's done in Indiana and say, well, if we haven't found that here, then we don't have the right guy. No, Signetti is the exception, not the rule. It is unlike anything I have ever seen. So I had to throw that. Even though I picked him to win, I still felt, you know what, the hat is right here. It's in my office. I might as well. Indiana, unlike anything we've ever seen in college football. There's just no comparison.